what's funny is I almost missed the car there. I usually try to watch for the car coming down the road to know when to click the button to start the stream, and I missed it almost. But anyway, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, and so it's not Woke Wednesday. That's tomorrow. But there's a couple stories I got today that relate to wokeness. But mostly, I got a chuckle because I saw this story about what do I call him? The NightMayor. Everyone's America's mayor, America's NightMayor, as in Mayor Ted Wheeler out of Portland. He's in a little trouble, and it's not the major story of the day or anything like that, but I just found some humor in it. So we'll talk about the NightMayor, but I got tons of headlines, tons of things going on. We'll try to get to most of them, but if not, they'll be in the tabs at the end of the show. And other than that, I think that's all I got before the show. So how about we play the intro? Beep. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet, and welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. I'm just getting to sending out my Twitter, Minds, Gab, and CloudHub notifications. If you're not familiar with CloudHub, that's a new one that I'm trying to see if this will work. I haven't really I haven't really posted on here, so I don't even know how the hell this works. Yes, I joined CloudHub. Okay, I think I just did that. Did it work? I don't know. I guess I'll find out. I've never used it. Anyway, it is Tuesday, the 26th of January, 2021. The year, 1 year after the godforsaken year of 2020. And, I saw a funny meme of the Heath Ledger Joker labeled as 2020. And then the Joaquin Yoakum, or what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, patting him on the back, saying, "It's my turn, 2021." And it's kind of turning into that so far. I got to tell you. Oh, I never did my stream labels. Here, let me fix that. Is it going to get better with Joe and all the nonsense that's going on? That little Capitol action that happened, that kind of messed things up for people, or at least it's an excuse to mess things up for people. I don't know, man. It's, and in fact, I don't even have this going. I just don't know what to think anymore. And I gotta get my car in for the break. Oh, I forgot to call the car guy. Well, I can do that right after the show. Hopefully they can still get me in. My truck needs brakes. I just heard a really nasty scraping sound. And normally let me just talk about this. Do you ever think about things that you hate paying for because you know you could do them yourself, but then you wait too long and then you end up having to pay for them anyway? Well, this is one, because I can change the brake pads and rotors on my truck by myself. But it's too freaking cold outside, and I don't want to be laid in the driveway with, frozen ground and all that stuff. And then you never know if the lug nuts are going to turn, and I'm just like, God. Then I hear this scraping noise, the telltale sign that you just waited a little too long, and so now I got to take it to have somebody else do it. Ugh, I hate that. But now I do have my cup of reparations in hand. And it's very good. I'm still doing the tea thing though. I don't know why when you can't taste anything, hot tea for some reason seems to be better than coffee. Although I know that's a little bit of sacrilege to say, but it just is. Okay, let's unpin that message. Anyway, let's say good morning, everybody, and then we'll get into the show, get into some of the news. First in chat today was our friend Keenan, who gets the bell. There you go. And also, good morning, Mike Savage with the new Irish flag, Avi. I love it. Now, being nearly half Irish, I say that because my mother, my birth mother, all four of her grandparents immigrated here from Ireland. Although one of those four grandparents' parents was from England. And so we can't figure out how that all worked out. But anyway, so I say I'm nearly one half Irish, and the other half I'm Igbo Nigerian, which is, if you're wondering. But anyway, I like the new flag, Abby. Also, good morning, Becca Farley, who, and thank you, Becca, for tweeting out the show like you do, who's lurking today. Good morning, Maddie, who also tweeted out the show. As all, I was a bad girl. It's not my fault. I can't help it. Oh, I'll have to find out what that's about. I'll just open that tab and figure out what that is. Oh, I see. Because I put TED Talk in the title. What did you put here? Oh, because you said something about my TED Talk. No, mine's not. Mine's not TED Talk. TED Talk was just a play on words because it's Ted Wheeler. And Ted's in trouble, by the way. We'll get to that. That's the first story we're going to do. I promise. That we'll do that one first. Oh, what's going on there? Anyway, also good morning to Renee Mayette. Good morning. How you doing? Good morning, Select a Boy. How you doing?
Yeah, boy.
And good morning to You're a Ridiculous Lunatic. Yes, that is a name, not a description. Also, good morning, James PFP, Attack Alpaca, Dr. Keev. Let's see, as I'm scrolling down, Tyler F, what's happening? Ex Bubba Hotep, what's up? Good morning to Advocatus Diabli, the Devil's Advocate, Aaron Meredith, Swirl Blue, TC Ball, Cynical Lindsay, Anna Lynn, how you doing? Thomas Cleaver, what's up? Tarai Deos, Johnny Hellcat, Jaeger Pony, my favorite Canadian. I just love saying that. In effect, Jaeger Pony, you are my favorite Canadian. Good morning, Small Man. Good morning. Good afternoon. Probably from another, a very different time zone. Good morning, Sean. What's happening? And all the fellow degenerates in the chat. If you like what we do today, hit the like button at some point during the show. If you don't like what we do, well, let me know. I mean, put a comment in the comment section, or if you have an argument with me, I am more than happy to engage people who don't agree with me. Also, good morning to the Pissed Off Shih Tzu. What's happening? Wheeler Boy's in trouble, pulls up a chair and slams a tub of popcorn on the table before sitting down. Well, Lindsay, let's talk about Mr. Ted Wheeler right off the bat, because it's funny because people are just ripping him to shreds on Twitter for an action he took. I don't know if this is over the weekend, but anyway, Ted Wheeler pepper sprayed an unmasked man who confronted him with a video camera. Now, Ted had, for some reason, what's interesting about this story is not that Ted did what he did. I mean, I don't blame him for carrying pepper spray, because a lot of people interrupt him at meals. If you haven't noticed lately, there's all kinds of stories about Ted Wheeler often being interrupted while he's just out having a meal with, I don't know who he has meals with, that doesn't really matter. But what's interesting about that, before the fact that he gets interrupted at meals all the time while eating out, is the fact that he is often eating out. Like he doesn't cook or something. He's always at restaurants and he's getting people bother him. But anyway, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler blasted with pepper spray an unmasked man who confronted him, and former Mayor Sam Adams with a video camera as the two left the pub Sunday night. The two men told police. Wheeler and Adams had just finished dinner at the McMenamins Hillsdale Brewery and Public House on Southwest Sunset Boulevard around 8 p.m. when a man both described as middle-aged accused the current mayor of dining without a mask, according to the Portland Police Bureau report released Monday afternoon. Wheeler said he told the person who accosted him and Adams that the pair had eaten in a tented area of the pub, which does not require face coverings under current coronavirus restrictions, the report said. The man then followed Wheeler closely as he walked to his car. The mayor told police he had no face mask on and got within a foot or two of my face while he was videoing me, Wheeler said, according to the police report. I became imminently concerned for my personal safety. The mayor continued, I clearly informed them that he needed to back off. He did not do so. So I informed him that I was carrying pepper spray and that I would use it if he did not back off. He remained at a close distance. I pulled out my pepper spray and I sprayed him in the eyes. Afterward, Wheeler said he provided the man with a bottle of water to rinse his face. Wheeler told police he did not recognize the man, who he and Adams both described as a man in his 40s wearing dark clothing and glasses, the police report said. So, and there's more details down here. But what's funny about this is that first he got sucker punched. Now he got pepper sprayed. Yeah, well, no, he didn't get pepper sprayed. He pepper sprayed the guy. And hello, Hig. Good morning? And Cindy says hi too. Yeah, Cindy, Rochelle, and Hig are in the chat now. He didn't get pepper sprayed this time. This time he was the one who was spraying pepper spray in the other dude's eyes. And people are kind of pissed about it. Well, let's put it this way. Let me go in the Wheeler hashtag here because it's kind of funny. Thanks, Cynical Lindsay, also, and for tweeting out the show. By the way, I probably should check that on Twitter. The MyPillow CEO is not in a good place right now. Wheeler. Let's see, Wheeler. Let's just look this up on. Oh my God. Let's go. How about Ted Wheeler? There's a lot of Wheelers on Twitter. Ted Wheeler pepper spray. So listen to some of these people are just pissed that Ted Wheeler did this. Someone named Sergio Almo says, I took out my pepper spray and I sprayed him in the eyes. He seemed surprised and backed off. I threw a water bottle towards him so he could wash his eyes out with water. I left the scene. So that's just someone reporting it. But there was people like in this city. Oh, this is Ari Fleischer kind of making fun of Ted Wheeler, where the city council banned the police from using pepper spray. Ted Wheeler pepper sprays. This guy, pepper spray, water bottles. Isn't it time that Ted Wheeler stopped the nightly violence he's causing? Now, this one's serious, though. Listen. If Ted Wheeler isn't charged for using pepper spray on a maskless person because he was afraid he'd get COVID, we all have a legal defense for pepper spraying anyone who gets near us without a mask. I don't think this is someone who, I'm not a lawyer, but a professional quote unquote journalist, which is basically the same thing, reading words, saying words. What's the difference? Fuck Ted Wheeler. Okay, that's someone who doesn't like Ted Wheeler. Other people saying here, let's see, someone down here. I guess, well, looks like, these are all the stories. They must have moved some of these up. And let's call this what it was, or what it is. Assault. Ted Wheeler didn't just pepper spray someone. I'm sick of all this news headlines trying to sugarcoat what Wheeler actually did. Wheeler assaulted his own constituent. Oh, and then the worst part of the Ted Wheeler story was that he was eating at McMenamins or whatever. But anyway, a lot of people ripping on Ted Wheeler this morning. And, you know, well, if you're watching, if you're lurking, you're not going to be able to tell what's going on here. I have the deepest sympathy for Ted Wheeler. Yes, I do. Anyway, and look, no, if he honestly felt he was in danger, it is self-defense. The fact that I don't like him doesn't change. Advocacy diaboli, I am not discounting that fact at all. In fact, that's absolutely correct. If he felt he was in danger, or if he felt the man was not, especially after warning the guy and telling him, if he felt he was in danger, he absolutely has the right to defend himself. And probably, that may have been an appropriate way. Bo, yes, and you filled it in, and he's still a hypocritical douchebag. Yes, he is. But anyway, no, I don't blame him for whatever he did, and if he felt he was in that, if he felt like he, like I said, if he felt he was in danger, probably an appropriate thing to do. I'm just laughing because he is a douchebag. All right, let's go into, I got a whole bunch of stories, and we're going to touch on them today and try to get through this. I've got mega tabs open again, just because there's so many little stories that kind of piggyback off one another. Anyway, the National Guard's troops that were in D.C., a bunch of them are returning home, which is interesting. 5,000 National Guard troops are going to stay in D.C. through March because reasons. They're playing this shit up. They really are. But following a controversial deployment to the nation's capital to defend and protect the inauguration, at least 5,000 National Guard members will remain in Washington through mid-March. As we continue to work to meet the final post-inauguration requirements, the National Guard has been requested to continue supporting federal law enforcement agencies with 7,000 members and will draw down to 5,000 through mid-March. Major Matt Murphy told the Epoch Times. We are providing assistance such as security, communications, medical evacuations, logistics, and safety to support state, district, and federal agencies, he's added. Now this, I'm trying to figure out why. Holy shit. It's almost like clearly they are milking this fake insurgents, this fake insurrection, okay? Look, that was an unorganized bunch of knuckleheads who decided to do some bullshit while the president was speaking. Not related to the president. The president did not incite them because they were in action before the president was even done speaking. Nobody, and I don't believe that anyone in the halls of Congress assisted these idiots. They just thought they were doing something. And in fact, once they got in the building, even then, is that an insurrection? Is that a coup attempt? I don't think so. But anyway, what's interesting though is there are several states who are pulling their troops because they didn't feel they were treated well. In fact, here's the governor of Mike Dunleavy. Where's he from? I can't remember. We're bringing home our National Guard members from D.C. They served with distinction. Some guardsmen from other states were treated in a fashion inconsistent with how our service members should be treated. And then Doug Ducey, is that Steve's? I don't know his name. These women and men put their lives on the line for our freedom. No, they don't. Oh, my God. Well, maybe they did somewhere else. Oh, that's the Arizona governor. Maybe they did somewhere else, but yeah, the great selfie insurrection of 2021, exactly. This is weird because this says these women and men put their lives on the line for our freedom. Are you talking about in D.C.? Because they didn't do anything. They basically stood around and did nothing because nothing happened in D.C. on Inauguration Day. But anyway, that they would be put out to a parking garage and return is appalling. I've confirmed that none of our 29 Arizona National Guard members were among those displaced. They are headed back to Arizona. Thank you for their service. Yeah, they were there potentially to, unless you're talking about put their lives in the line because there weren't enough vending machines to grab a pack of ho-hos or something. I don't know. They didn't put their line on the line for anything. They put their line. They were put out there to put on a show for an excuse of an inauguration that no one was going to go to anyway. Bill Lee of Tennessee. It's time to welcome our Tennessee National Guard soldiers and airmen home today after their mission. Their stand around mission in D.C. And I'm not saying maybe that better safe than sorry, but damn, they're laying this shit on thick. Good morning, Ebony Williams. How you doing? Their mission in D.C., very disappointed in the way this mission came to a close and the overall treatment of the National Guard in D.C. Tennesseans are proud of our men and women in uniform. Ron DeSantis, Florida. Last night I ordered our adjutant general to bring Florida National Guard soldiers home from the National Capital Region. So several governors are like, hey, just come home. This is bullshit. You can read the other ones, what the other governors said in the tabs after the show. Moving on. Speaking of which, Pennsylvania. Oh, this is, now let's talk about how this rally is, in some cases, rightfully so, because some dumbasses did some stupid shit. Good morning, Duck Dog. But this guy, this Pennsylvania teacher, was suspended for attending the Trump rally, which is interesting. Not for being in the Capitol, but just for attending the rally. At least, well, we're going to read the articles. I didn't finish it. I just saw the beginning of this. Maybe there's more details that I didn't get to. His family is fearful because of a backlash from the district's statement that he says incorrectly connected him to the violent uprising in the U.S. Capitol. Now, this is something that's going to, people are, even if you were just there and you had nothing to do with the idiots who went in the Capitol building, this could become a problem because, well, cancel culture. I can't say that too loud because if you say it too loud, they'll think that you're talking about cancel culture. But I didn't say it. No, I did not. I just thought it. Cancel culture. And it's not really a thing, right? Anyway, Jason Moorhead, a teacher in Allentown, Pennsylvania for 17 years, attended the Trump rally in D.C. on January 6th. Although he did not participate in the Capitol Hill riots, he claimed he was smeared by association and suspended from his job. Well, sue their ass. He has also been doxxed, and now his family is living in fear because who are the most dangerous psychotic people in the country? Who's more dangerous, the right or the left? Who causes more destruction and death? Just saying. I'm not saying it. I probably shouldn't say the word death, but here we go. The Morning Call reports, my reputation and character have been destroyed. Allentown School District teacher suspended for attending protest says lawsuits is inevitable because this is the school district. Listen to this. The attorney for an Allentown School District teacher suspended after school officials learned he'd been in Washington, D.C. for the January 6th protest said the district's failure to correct a false statement in its news release means a lawsuit is all but inevitable. Jason Moorhead said Saturday his reputation had been destroyed and his family is fearful because of the backlash from the district's statement that says incorrectly connected him with the violent uprising at the U.S. Capitol. Moorhead said that while he attended the rally for then-President Donald Trump in Washington that day, he was never closer than a mile from the Capitol building. He said the false association with the deadly storming of the Capitol has forced him to delete his social media accounts, avoid answering the phone, and keep curtains drawn at his house. He said his address and phone number have been posted online, a.k.a. he was doxxed. Moorhead's the notoriety cost him the trust and respect of his students. Moorhead said Teaching in the school district is the only job he has ever had, and he considers himself more than a teacher, leading clubs and coaching sports. Looks like the biggest mistake Moorhead made was posting a picture of himself on social media. Moorhead posted a picture of himself wearing a Make America Great Again hat and carrying a Revolutionary War flag on Facebook with the caption, "Doing my civic duty." He also shared a tweet by someone else that said, "Don't worry, everyone, the Capitol is insured," to which Moorhead added this. Okay, well that, I don't know. Lehigh. Now here's the Lehigh Valley News, who has a statement from the official. District Solicitor John Friend said on Saturday, told LehighValleyLive.com, as previously stated, the teacher has been temporarily reassigned while the district investigates the facts of his involvement in the January 6th incident in Washington. A temporary reassignment away from teaching duties while the district investigates the underlying facts is standard procedure with any teacher whose conduct is under question. The teacher has not lost any pay or benefits while the investigation is when the investigation is complete, a decision will be made concerning the return to the classroom. Yeah, they've already smeared him with the people who were smeared him with the people who broke into the Capitol. So who knows? Let's see. So they say he's temporarily suspended. You notice that he went out of his way to say that his comment about the Capitol being insured was not intended to be a mockery of Black Lives Matter or Antifa, which is interesting. This left me with one question. So what if it was? Are we not allowed to mock Black Lives Matter or Antifa? True. Let's see. In terms of what's happening with the school, Moorhead is right to fight this legally. Cancel culture will continue for as long as people ought to continue. So you can watch the video if you go into the tabs today. I'm not going to play the video though. Moving on. Also, it's also affecting apparently some elderly veteran in Wisconsin. An anonymous claim of inauguration violence sends Wisconsin police to investigate a 73-year-old. He was working in his home when 3 deputies questioned him on suspicion of being a domestic terrorist. Why? Because he had joined peaceful conservative protests. You know, the mostly peaceful protests that happened all over the country for the last 9 months? Apparently, if you attend the wrong peaceful protest, you might have some cops knocking on your door. Roy Stern was erroneously suspected of planning to, quote, cause problems, end quote. Let me repeat that. Suspected of planning to, quote, cause problems, end quote, on Inauguration Day by an anonymous informant. The unnamed tipster's proof, it seems, is that Stern was at the spring protest against Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers' state lockdowns, according to the incident report. So this has nothing to do with the Capitol. As Wisconsin Spotlight reported, the 73-year-old Vietnam veteran from Hustisford was working at his home Saturday when he was approached by 3 deputies from the Dodge County Sheriff Department. He said he got the sense he was being questioned as some kind of suspected domestic terrorist or insurrectionist, descriptors used by liberal politicians and news outlets in the wake of the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. It appears he was, according to a copy of the incident report obtained by Empower Wisconsin under state's open records laws. Lieutenant Robbie Weinfurter, now that's a great Wisconsin name. There's a lot of German and Scandinavians and whatever in Wisconsin. Anyway, Lieutenant Robbie Weinfurter on Saturday afternoon was informed by an individual who wanted to remain anonymous that Stern was trying to encrypt his phone and was planning on attending the presidential inauguration at the Wisconsin State Capitol with 2 other people, according to the police incident report. The caller felt this was very disturbing and thought that Elroy Stern was wanting to cause problems, the lieutenant reported in the official report. Wow.
Wow.
He noted the information was provided to the anonymous caller by another anonymous source. And this was like fourth-hand knowledge to the officer who talked to him. But the caller would not provide specifics. So what was so disturbing? The informant said Stern was at the spring protest against overreaching government health orders. Of course, so were thousands of other conservatives and opponents of the restrictions. The anonymous tipster also claimed Stern was open carrying a sidearm at the time. But Stern told Empower Wisconsin he was not carrying a sidearm at the rally. The caller was also not aware of Elroy Stern getting involved with anything illegal during this time in Madison in the spring, Weinfurter wrote in his report. So then what the hell are they out questioning him for? Okay, I'm sorry. The Dodge County retiree told authorities he had been to Madison on January 6th for a demonstration to get what protesters believe to be widespread election law violations in the November presidential election. Stern had also attended previous marches led by David Clark, the former sheriff of Milwaukee County. You know, David Clark, the brother with the cowboy hat. Anyway, and full-throated supporter of Donald Trump. Unlike events that unfolded during the violent protests at the U.S. Capitol, Stern told the lieutenant the demonstration on January 6th in Madison was peaceful. Well, it was, and if you want to read the rest of the story, you can, but geez, just come on now. Come on, man. Come
on, man.
Yeah, even Joe Biden thinks so. Good Lord. Anyway, let me take another sip here because I got that thing going on. By the way, if you like me, click. All right, let's continue. Let's see, you got that one. I think it was about this one of those two. Oh, this is just I have an article on why conservatives should stop trying to justify impeaching Trump. Well, I'm not even going to read. I won't go into this one, but there's only really one reason why they should stop justifying impeaching Trump. Because the charge is bullshit. How's that? How's that? You can read this one on your own. Moving on. Now, here's a tactic though that Democrats are trying to get into, and I am going to go to this one. So Democrats are kind of desperate because they just don't want to have to deal with Trump anymore. They don't want the chance that he might come back and run again. And so they're trying. Some of them are thinking that this tactic might work since they're probably not going to get 17 senators to convict Trump on impeachment for incitement, which is a very specific legal term, which clearly isn't fulfilled in the charges of incitement to insurrection in the articles of impeachment, right? So, but there's another tactic that you've been hearing a little bit about, and that is using the 14th Amendment. Good morning, Donatello Slapfellow and Tony Topanga. What's up? So Democrats are so scared one of their all-time favorite boogeymen, former President Donald Trump, will run and humiliate them again. They are considering banishing him from electoral politics forever through an obscure constitutional provision created in the aftermath of the Civil War to deal with Confederate leaders and soldiers. Now, I think it's silly that they're even thinking of doing this, and probably it'd be unconstitutional for them to try it, but let's just talk about this. Disqualifying opposing candidates, in case you forgot, is part of the old Barack Obama playbook from his Illinois Senate days. And call me crazy, but Donald Trump is no Jefferson Davis. Because leftist depravity is bottomless, it should come as no surprise that the Democrats are fine with going full-on banana republic to save the country from the potential reemergence of a truly great legitimate president who, unlike the phony who has temporarily succeeded him, loves America and who spent his 4 years in office expertly outfoxing Democrats to benefit the American people. I didn't write this, but I can't say I disagree with much of it. Anyway, now, because two bogus impeachment based on absolutely nothing are not enough for these people, left-wing lawmakers, wooden stakes at hand, are demanding Section 3 of the 14th Amendment be invoked before Count Trumpula rises from the political grave. That amendment, by the way, was ratified on July 9th, 1868, a little over 3 years after Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia surrendered at Appomattox, I can never say that right, courthouse, and Democrat actor John Wilkes Booth assassinated the Republican U.S. President Abraham Lincoln. The constitutional provision itself, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, known as the Disqualification Clause, reads, quote, "No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid and comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability." If Section 3 isn't enough to bury Trump, Section 5 gives Congress the power to enforce the 14th Amendment through quote, appropriate legislation. Now, some very creative scholars claim this means a simple majority of both chambers of Congress could pass a law applying a ban on future political activities to a particular former president like Donald Trump. Marxist history professor Eric Foner urges Democrats to get all medieval and shit on the 45th president and hold a political show trial. The 14th Amendment, quote, "can be invoked against anyone who has ever taken an oath to support the Constitution, including the president," he said, according to The Nation. It's much simpler than impeachment. It is not a judicial proceeding. It's a political proceeding. It does not involve lawyers or trials. It is simply about qualifications for office. You could have one afternoon of debate and vote. That's what this jagoff says. Ironic. That would apply to most of Congress. Well, yeah, it could. Well, okay, and the list doesn't include leader of the executive branch. I thought that too. So as I'm reading this, so it says, okay, let's read it again. No person shall be a senator or representative of Congress or elector of president and vice president. Doesn't say president and vice president. Or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath. So hold any office, okay? So I think that would include the president, who has previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature, to support the Constitution of the United States, if they have engaged, shall have engaged in insurrection. So it says any office. I thought that too the first time I read it, because it didn't say executive office. Interesting. So anyway, the process newly espoused by Democrats desperate to satisfy their Trump deranged syndrome suffering base because an impeachment conviction in the Senate is looking unlikely sounds dangerous, like an unconstitutional bill of attainder and ex post facto legislation, or maybe even a Roman prescription. If they could, Democrats in Congress who only revere the Constitution when it aids their cause would no doubt try to impose the ancient punishment of corruption of the blood against the ex-president and all members of the Trump family, escheating and forfeiting their property to the government. Yeah. So this just goes more into why this is kind of maybe a dumb idea, and it goes into the details of a bill of attainder and things like that. But I don't. So using the 14th Amendment is an idea that's out there, and I think that people are contemplating in the accountability space. Said Antifa-loving Senator Tim Kaine, who added he was quite confident Congress could act under the constitutional amendment. I'm not so sure. I just want to choose a path that maximizes focus on the Biden-Harris agenda. Well, that would take a lot of attention off the Biden-Harris agenda, which would probably be their real goal because they don't want you to see what's happening behind the curtain. Kaine's son, Woody, is a violent Antifa terrorist who was part of the 2017 assault on Trump supporters in the Minnesota Capitol. Young Kaine fought with the police as they tried. Okay, they're just talking about Tim Kaine's son. Now, the thing is, though, they also, there's a couple who want to use that 14th Amendment against Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley. Joe Manchin in particular mentioned that at one point. So the remedies of 14th, let's see. So here's what a couple of the Democratic senators said. Blumenthal, the remedies of the 14th Amendment certainly may be appropriate for someone who incites an insurrection as Donald Trump did. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you already have the facts on that? Is there a court case that you could point to, Richard Blumenthal, that says he incited an insurrection? Methinks there might have to be a court conviction prior to this, too. Because remember, a lot of the weren't the Confederate soldiers tried and they probably were tried for insurrection, right? Or whatever. I'm assuming they would have been. You have to have the conviction before you have the... before you'd be able to put this in place, but I digress. Because if they just say, well, because he incited insurrection, well, what if he's not? Okay, so if he's acquitted in the impeachment, and then they say, oh, well, we're going to try to take you to court for this, charge you criminally for incitement, that will fail miserably just because of prior Supreme Court precedent. What basis would they have to try to invoke the 14th Amendment? They certainly aren't going to get him for a conviction for incitement for insurrection. Just saying. All of these are questions of first impression in terms of constitutionality, said Senator Chris Murphy. I certainly think there is a 14th Amendment avenue separate and aside from impeachment. Good luck if you can't get him convicted on insurrection. It would seem that in order to invoke the 14th Amendment, you would have to have a conviction on insurrection. Ain't gonna happen. Senator Joe Manchin, a West Virginia Democrat, by the way, wants to use the 14th Amendment against GOP Senators Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz, ousting them and disqualifying them from holding public office because they dared to contest the congressional certification of the 2020 election from states where the Democratic machine successfully... I'm not going to finish this sentence. But anyway, I think you know where that was going. Again, to use the 14th Amendment, it would almost seem like they would need some sort of conviction, wouldn't they? Yeah, one party through unity. Exactly, Annalyn. Holy shit. Let's see. Presumably, private citizen Trump, a billionaire land developer who has no interest in becoming a member of the U.S. Senate or U.S. House or a member of the Electoral College, nor any desire to hold any office, civil, military, under the United States or under any state. Oh, and so here's the answer to your question, Advocatus Diaboli. And it is far from clear whether the presidency is an, quote, office or whether the president is an officer of the United States within the meaning of the disqualification clause. The offices of senator and representative are identified specifically, but not president. If the drafters of the amendment wanted to allow for the possibility of excluding a president from holding one of the offices mentioned, including the presidency itself, they would have said so. And why would they bother when elsewhere in the Constitution a mechanism for impeaching, trying, and removing a president is already laid out? Even if the effort to use the 14th Amendment against Trump were to clear the officer bar, there remains the question of whether he engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or gave aid and comfort to enemies thereof. That's what I'm saying. I don't know that they can even prove that he was guilty of insurrection. Probably not. In fact, no. Period. I guarantee it. I should never make guarantees. Anyway, there's a little more scholarly talk about that, but I got to keep going here. Speaking of the purge, I haven't talked about the purge. Hey, how's everyone doing, by the way? Are you all still there? Did I lose some people here? Did the stream go bad? I hope not. Oh, there's still people here. I'm just checking on you. There's not a whole lot of chat going on, but that's okay. And I think I've said hello to everybody. I have. Have I missed anybody? All right, we're good. We're good. I got you. All right. I'm glad you all are still here. Tell you what, I'm going to take a tiny break because I haven't played the commercial for a while. So here, give me just 1 second while I warm up my tea.
Hey everybody, it's me, Marty. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I hope you're enjoying the show. The Morning Night Live is sponsored by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. Please, if you have a moment, take time to share this stream by hitting that little arrow down below or up here if you're on a mobile. And please hit the like button. I know you like it if you're still here and you're still watching. And finally, if you want to support the show, you can do that through your donations and super chats, which are in the description down below. You can do that at Streamlabs link or at PDawgKnight.live. That every little bit helps. And thank you for watching. Now back to the show.
All right, and we're back. So let's go to this next article here. The conservative purge isn't over. It's just getting cranked up. Yeah, they're trying. I gotta tell you, they are trying my patience. Not quite 2 weeks ago, we noted big tech was settling the family business with its suspensions, bans, and deletions of then President Donald Trump and as many of his supporters as it could pull into its dragnet. It was only a start. The left wants to wipe the right from the political map as quickly and effectively as possible. Playing the roles this week was of Michael Corleone, who in the Godfather installments eliminated his family's enemies, is the Democratic Party. Congressional Democrats are going forward with the blessing of the new president, whose plea for unity, UNITY, is clearly a sham, with a domestic terrorism bill in both chambers of Congress. The public is being told the legislation is needed to thwart, quote, the potential threat of more terrorist attacks in Washington and around the country. You mean like the ones on Election Day? We'll get to that. There were, by the way, there were domestic terror attacks on Election Day. They just weren't in Washington, D.C. Do you remember those? Bet you didn't. Well, we didn't hear a lot about them unless you were paying attention to alternative media. But anyway, we'll get there. And among the co-sponsors is Representative Jerry Nadler, who in July denied that Antifa, which was wrecking Portland at the time, even existed. One lone Democrat stands out among this jihad, and unfortunately, she's no longer in Congress. Former Representative Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii told Fox News on Friday that should the bill become law, it would undermine our civil liberties, our freedoms, and our Constitution. while targeting almost half the country, that half being a collection of Trump-supporting conservatives, Christians, and anyone who refuses to go along with Democrats' legislative agenda, surrender to Black Lives Matter's intimidation, and yield to the dominant narrative. Now, I gotta stop there, though, because there was a glimmer of hope. If y'all remember what we talked about the last few days or on the show, that there was one congressman and several others signed on with this letter that she wrote that actually was very skeptical about any further domestic terrorism type of bill. And that was Broken Clock, Rashida Tlaib. Sorry, I couldn't remember her name. Because Rashida Tlaib said, hey, are we just going, we know what happens when you go a little overboard on this shit, right? Because, right, if you think of the Patriot Act and how it may or may not have affected a certain religious sector of our country, and, just some of the spying that went on even against our own president and his campaign, there's some reasons to be skeptical of this. But anyway, Gabbard also pointed out that former CIA Director John Brennan has openly talked about how he'd spoken with or heard from appointees and nominees in the Biden administration who are already starting to look across our country for these types of movements similar to the insurgencies they've seen overseas. In his words, he says, make up this unholy alliance of religious extremists, racists, and bigots. And he lists a few others. And at the end, even this is John Brennan, even libertarians. The hunted, Gabbard said, are likely to be white, male, anyone who loves freedom, liberty, maybe has an American flag outside their house, or people who, attended a Trump rally. Holy shit, I am in that category. I've never been to a Trump rally, but I have a flag hanging out on my front of my house. Whew. Whoosh. Huh. Anyway, the Washington Compost reported over the weekend that the Biden White House has tasked the Director of National Intelligence in coordination with the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security with compiling a comprehensive threat assessment on violent domestic extremism. If this were an effort to root out the few authentic domestic terrorists, no matter what their political alignment, from the dwindling number of real white supremacists to the Democrats' Antifa street soldiers, we could get behind it. But everyone knows what few are saying. The party in power has sold out to eliminating the party out of power. To better frame the right as a domestic threat, the White House has been gaslighting the country with assertions that the invasion of the U.S. Capitol was an act of terrorism that reflects the violent tendencies of conservatives and Republicans, while the summer riots were mild in comparison. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has hysterically claimed she thought she was going to die when the Capitol was breached, an event she called pretty traumatizing. California Democrat Adam Schiff, chair of the House Intelligence Committee, said it was critical the administration focus on the threat of domestic terrorism from, in particular, the far right and white supremacist groups, because they have become one of the most dangerous threats to our nation. Really? Really? Now, they know none of these claims are true, but we'll keep repeating them to perpetuate the narrative that Trump and his 74 million voters and all of those who don't denounce him are insurrectionists who have to be put down. Democratic operatives outside the official party hierarchy are marching in step. Alex Namos, former Facebook chief security officer and a Stanford adjunct professor, said last week on CNN that, quote, we have to turn down the capability of these conservative influencers to reach these huge audiences, especially on Facebook and YouTube. Meanwhile, Katie Couric, America's sweetheart, says the question is how are we going to really almost deprogram these people who have signed up for the cult of Trump. And ABC political director Richard Klein insisted there needs to be a cleansing of the Trump movement, which is straight up fascist rhetoric. Does this motherfucker own a mirror? Oh my God. Just as Gabbard publicly criticized her party agenda, a few journalists are willing to buck the political environment to challenge Democrats' attempt to cancel the right. When CNN said the Capitol incursion was an example of domestic terrorism, independent left-leaning journalist Michael Tracy courageously called it propaganda, deliberately intended to stoke overreaction and hysteria. Yeah. Glenn Greenwald, also an independent left-leaning journalist, said the real aim of the new domestic war on terror is to criminalize that which should not be criminalized. Speech, association, protest, and opposition to the new ruling coalition. Wow! Wow! What does that sound like? That rings a that kind of sounds like something. Speech, association, protest, opposition to the new ruling coalition. There's the First Amendment. Silly me. Why didn't I think of that right off the bat? Anyway, yeah, so good luck. If you marry a white woman, you is racist and white supremacist. Oh, shit. I didn't know that. Too late. All right, moving on. I got a lot more. Let's see. Am I going to read this one? Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, I was talking about. So I was talking about the riots that actually happened on Inauguration Day. Hello, Gay Man 88. How you doing? And check your logic. Nice to see you. So there were some riots on Inauguration Day. You remember, right? Anyone remember the riots on Inauguration Day? Remember? There were some. Now, not in Washington, D.C., and not at any of the state capitals. The corporate Democrats and Democrats, the corporate media and Democrats, that's redundant, have a history of ignoring and downplaying destructive and deadly riots in exchange for coverage that fits their political agenda. For example, while the lawless riots that followed George Floyd's death caused more than $2 billion with a B dollars in damage to businesses, churches, and federal buildings and other downtown structures in cities such as Minneapolis, Portland, Atlanta, D.C., and Kenosha, Wisconsin, journalists and politicians simply wrote off the arson, looting, vandalism, and other crimes as justified actions after years of racial oppression and police brutality. The common theme that ties all of this together is an expression of anger and frustration over what people feel like has become an all too familiar story, said CNN's Omar Jimenez, as a chyron reading fiery but mostly peaceful protest after police shooting rolled across footage of burning buildings in Kenosha. This narrative and behavior by the corporate press is still being carried through the beginning of Joe Biden's presidency and is expected to continue as they work to achieve their political goals. Here are all of the riots that the Democrats and corporate media are choosing to ignore. On Inauguration Day, Now, while Washington, D.C. and federal officials around the country geared up for what mainly wrongly predicted would be an insurrection by Trump supporters on Inauguration Day, the corporate media ignored the hundreds of Antifa members who rioted and denounced Joe Biden's presidency in cities across the nation. In Portland, violent Antifa rioters took to the streets to protest Joe Biden's inauguration, with some vandalizing the Oregon Democratic Party headquarters, smashing windows, graffitiing the walls, and lighting dumpsters on fire. Oh, that's new. I've never heard of them doing that. Hello, Galactic North. While others marched to the Immigration and Custom Enforcement facility in the city chanting, "Fuck Joe Biden." Wow. And lobbing objects at the officers and the building. Other demonstrators called for revenge against police murders, imperialist wars, and fascist massacres. Okay, can anyone in the chat want to help me out here? Because I'm having a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out, in particular, like very specifically. Now I know sorry about that. I know that that the case against perhaps some of the police who kill people could be called murder. I mean, there's certainly some of those cases. Imperialist wars, kind of tomato. But I have a question. I have no idea of any examples that I can think of. I mean, maybe you have some answers to this, but I need some examples of the, quote, fascist massacres. Please help me out. I don't know what the bloody hell they're talking about. Anyway, they had a banner that said, "We don't want Biden." In Seattle, Antifa rioters burned flags and wreaked havoc on businesses in Pike Place Market, a popular tourist attraction in the city's downtown. Some carried banners calling for the abolition of ICE, cops, prisons, borders, and presidents. They don't want any of that shit. Similarly, in Denver, I didn't even know that this happened in Denver. In Denver, a group dressed in black bloc burned an American flag near the Colorado Capitol, while some displayed banners emblazoned with communist, anti-fascist, anti-Biden, anti-Trump logos and statements. In Tacoma, Washington, in late January, hundreds in Tacoma, Washington rioted in the streets after a video of a police officer ramming over a crowd of approximately 20 people who mobbed a squad car during a reportedly illegal street race went viral. And then there's a little clip by Andy Noah. We saw it where the cop, I think they do need to investigate the cop doing that. But there's a point where if you are in danger because people are beating on your car, hit the gas and get the fuck out of there. I'm not advocating for that. You have to be actually in a dangerous situation, but still. Good morning to Why Are You So Angry? How you doing? Anyway, they seem to ignore those events, the actual, because they geared up for riots on Inauguration Day, and there were riots on Inauguration Day. Oh wait, those are the wrong riots. That's not what they were looking for. Okay, never mind. All right, moving on. This is great. So SolarWinds, I don't know if you're familiar with SolarWinds, the software vendor, and they're used by the U.S. government. And they were the ones. Remember the big cyber attack where they got into some systems that the United States probably doesn't want you in. So the SolarWinds is the company they're a software vendor used by the U.S. government And well, they've retained a law firm to lobby for them, right? SolarWinds, they do have big contracts with the government, cybersecurity, and all that stuff, and it kind of failed. But they got a law firm to lobby for them, and it just happens to be, just so happened. This is a coincidence. It's absolutely a coincidence. It just so happens to be the law firm that Kamala Harris's husband used to work for. Just a coincidence. They've retained the firm of Vice President Kamala Harris' husband as a lobbyist, former law firm. Emhoff previously served as a partner in DLA Piper's intellectual property and technology practice and its media, sport, entertainment sector. Emhoff, however, departed the firm on November 10th in an effort to work with the Biden-Harris transition team to develop up the portfolio he will focus on to support the work of the administration. That's Emhoff. What's his name? Dwayne? I can't remember the hell his name. It didn't even say on here. They never used his first name. Second Gentleman Emhoff, whatever his name is. They don't have the same last name. And while Emhoff may have professed to sever ties with DLA Piper, the law firm has continued its government-focused lobbying and legal practice. Well, how convenient. Let's see here. Yeah, they're lobbying. They're lobbying on behalf of SolarWinds, who had a kind of a breach there. HIV positive transgender. Good morning. How are you? That's a new name in the chat. Make sure you subscribe and hit the clicky belly thingy before you go. And if you like what I'm doing, hey, pop a thumbs up. Oh wait, I was gonna say I was gonna say that wrong. Just hit the thumbs up thing there if you like what we do. I appreciate you coming by. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. The original filing revealed the company was tasked with lobbying the U.S. House and Senate on the issue of providing information to Congress regarding the Sunburst cyber attack on SolarWinds. Among lobbyists for the account are former Republican Congressman Charlie Dent, who backed Biden in the 2020 election, and Tony Samp, a former senior policy advisor to the potential Biden administration member, Senator Martin Heinrich. Okay, but whatever. The unearthed filings follows mounting pressure for the Biden administration to address SolarWinds' breach. Per CNN, despite announcing a thorough intelligence review of Russian misconduct, President Joe Biden administration faces mounting pressure to respond to one of the worst data breaches ever to hit the United States government. Let's see, and then Jen Psaki tried to say something. They reserve the right to respond at a time and manner of our choosing to any cyber attack. But anyway, they're just figuring shit out. Anyway, Kamala's husband. Now, let's remind you, technically, you're Gay Man 88. I just need to check my subscription. Oh, okay. See, you're just kind of popping back and forth there. Okay. So he's no longer with the firm. He quit in November. So everything's just peachy. It's just his former law firm being a lobbyist for a company that does a megaton of business with the United States government and probably has has to figure out why they had the largest security breach in American history. But, it's just for, her husband's former law firm. My head hurts. Oh my God. Anyway. All right, let's get away from that before I explode. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, so, by the way, the whole filibuster thing, they were trying to get rid of the filibuster. Well, Joe Manchin has said he will not vote to get rid of the filibuster. He's protecting the minority party in the Senate's right to filibuster. Also, Kristen Sinema not only said that she would not vote for it, but she will not be swayed or have her mind changed at all. Remember, Sinema, if you're in Arizona or if you're in, maybe Gamer of Lincoln, she's a Democrat. She's kind of out there, but she also kind of fulfills the old John McCain role of Arizona senators, where she's kind of the spoiler or wants to be the spoiler. And in this case, she told Chuck to take that old thumbs up right up his John Brown hind parts. Now, I kind of mix the metaphors and movies in there as I said that, but anyway, you kind of get the feeling anyway. So now the senator leaders are going to work on a power sharing agreement, since there will be no filibuster, and since only time that the Democrats actually will have a majority is if Vice President Harris I'm sorry, something got caught in my throat there. In case she's attends the Senate and is in a tiebreaker position, then they're still 50-50, and they have to do a power sharing, basically. So technically the Democrats have a majority, but they don't actually, unless Vice President Harris. Oh. Vice President Harris. Oh. That just hurts. That hurts. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, Senator Minority Leader Mitch McConnell announced Monday that a power sharing agreement in the Senate no longer needs to stipulate that the filibuster rule remain intact after 2 Senate Democrats confirmed they would not support abolishing it. I'm glad that 2 Senate Democrats confirmed they will not vote to end the legislative filibuster. McConnell stated they agree with President Biden and me on protecting the Senate. With this win, we can move forward with the 50-50 power sharing agreement built on our 2001 precedent, as in precedent, not president. Anyway, on Monday, Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin both signaled they would not support abolishing the filibuster. And look, I'm sorry, Democrats. Let me just say something to you, because you could say, oh, no, we're going to abolish the filibuster. We're going to run roughshod all over your Republican asses, right? Yeah, those kind of moves tend to backfire if you think really hard about whether or not Democrats are going to be in power forever. They're not. And, remember that old judge thing that you tried to do that with, and it really didn't work out for you all. So sometimes you got to think a little bit into the future. Think about whether or not your party's always going to be in power, because no matter how many times someone says, this is the end of the Republican Party, or this is the end of the Democratic Party, it really never is. That pendulum swings, and don't do shit that you wouldn't want to be done to you. Is that kind of the golden rule? Is that how that works? Anybody know that's the golden rule? I don't know if the word shit's in the golden rule, but you know what I'm saying. All right, moving on. I put another article here by about McConnell's saying he's willing to abandon the filibuster. But I think that the point is moot with Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema's announcements that they're not going to vote against it. So I'm not going to go through this article. But it is interesting read how McConnell was already ready to roll over, or should I say bend over. But I shouldn't make jokes like that. Good morning, Special K on Acid. How you doing? Anyway, moving on. So there's still a House race that's in question, and it's the New York 22nd, where the Republican candidate or challenger Claudia Tenney has leading this Brindisi person. Well, believe it or not, the New York 22nd Congressional District still does not have a representative in the House of Representatives. Right now, the Republican challenger, Claudia Tenney, leads incumbent Democratic Representative Anthony Brindisi by 29 votes. So, 2 weeks ago, we found out that the Oneida Board of Elections did not process 2,418 applications from voters who applied via the Department of Motor Vehicles before the state deadline. Okay, so in my mind, I hear that sentence and I go, well, what can they do about that? I mean, did the voters come and try to vote and they couldn't vote, or they didn't have provisional ballots, or what? Who knows? Anyway, more than likely, the people at the polls told the voters they weren't registered when they went to vote. They walked away without voting. Really? I thought most states had provisional voting when you had that kind of a case. Anyway, but some went on to file affidavit ballots that were also not counted. New York State Supreme Court Justice Scott Del Conte ordered the OBE to review 1,028 rejected ballots that could be from voters who applied on time via the DMV. But it seems like, well, let's see here. Brindisi is appealing to the state's highest court to stop another review of rejected affidavit ballots in search of voters who applied on time by the DMV but were tossed away. They want, so here's the thing. He only wants the 69 Democratic votes they contested to count, but no others. Oh, what's the lead here? 29 votes, and he only wants the 69 Democratic votes they contested to count. They argue the judge doesn't have jurisdiction to make the order, that it would take too long. We're now 79 days after Election Day, and that the review might not even catch all the voters who followed the law but were still rejected, including people like Benjamin of Utica, whose ballot was rejected this year despite him voting without issue in 318. His affidavit and others like it were part of Brindisi's appeal and would mean a new group of voters disenfranchised through no fault of their own. Brindisi's appeal, if granted, would stop the review, at least to give Oneida County time to determine how to review all of the ballots that could be affected, not just the DMV records. It would mean more delay in that last undecided House race. Now, Brindisi only wants the 69 Democratic votes to count. Teddy said that it's not up to Del Conte. Del Conte did not rule for either candidate. There are 1,028 rejected ballots. Here's the thing. If you're going to count one, if you're going to count two, you got to count them all. And you got to go back and do all of them, because that's not fair if you don't. Anyway, but Democrats just wanted to cheat. Shh. I did not say that out loud. Here's another article from the American Thinker that I'm going to skip this one too, but just how the attempt to install a one-party oligarchy is predestined to fail. Which it almost seems like the Democrats are trying to do, doesn't it? They want to kick people out of Congress, and they want to use this so-called insurrection as a reason. But whatever. I'll leave it in the tabs, though, if you want to read it. Now, this is interesting. We have some court rulings. And look, there's a whole bunch of court cases still pending regarding the election. Well, this is an interesting one. The Virginia rule allowing late ballots missing postmark was illegal according to the courts. The Virginia Board of Elections rule allowing officials to count ballots that arrived without a postmark up to 3 days after the election was illegal, a state judge ruled. The Virginia Circuit Court Judge William Eldridge ruled the state's late mail-in ballot law violated state statute and permanently banned the law in future Virginia elections. The Public Interest Legal Foundation announced Monday PILF sued the state's Board of Elections in October on behalf of Thomas Reed, a Frederick County, Virginia election official. This is a big win for the rule of law, PILF President and General Counsel J. Christian Adams said in a statement. This consent decree gives Mr. Reed everything he requested, a permanent ban on accepting ballots without postmarks after Election Day, and is a loss for the Virginia bureaucrats who said ballots could come in without these protections. Be interesting to see if that idea spread, because didn't something like that happen in Pennsylvania? They had some unconstitutional bullshit. But I digress. I can't talk about that. let's see. October 29th, 1 week before the November 3rd federal elections, Eldredge blocked the law due to the PILF lawsuit. Virginia was therefore prevented from counting the late ballots without postmarks. PILF spokesman Logan Churchwell told the Daily Caller News Foundation. Mr. Reed has a straightforward request. Follow the freaking law, Adams said after PILF filed the lawsuit. Anyway, so like I said, it's not everything's over. And on that note, hang on, this is all screwed up. Here, let me get this straightened out. There we go. Dominion Voting Systems are suing Rudy Giuliani for $1.3 million. I'm sorry. That's not million. That's billion with a B. They're suing Giuliani for defamation, demanding $1.3 billion in damages. On Monday, Dominion Voting Systems filed a mammoth defamation lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani, the former New York mayor and former lawyer for President Donald Trump. Giuliani helped lead Trump's effort to contest the results of the 2020 election. He raised serious questions about election irregularities, but also voiced salacious and unconfirmed claims about Dominion, which the lawsuit condemns as absolutely false and malicious. The 107-page lawsuit, first reported by the New York Times, accuses Giuliani of carrying out a viral disinformation campaign about Dominion involving demonstrably, this is quote unquote, there are quotes in their lawsuit, demonstrably false allegations, in part to enrich himself through legal fees and through his podcast. During a court hearing, during a court hearing contesting the election results of the 2020 election in Pennsylvania, Rudy Giuliani admitted that the Trump campaign doesn't plead fraud and that this is not a fraud case, although he was willing to make false election fraud claims about Dominion and its voting machines in a court of law because he knew these allegations are false. He and his has allies manufactured and disseminated the, quote, big lie, which foreseeably went viral and deceived millions of people into believing Dominion had stolen their votes and fixed the election. The lawsuit begins. So if you want to check that out, that lawsuit's in there's a copy of the lawsuit in the link on the Twitter page that's in the link of the article. I will leave the article up in the tabs. It will be there when you go to look. Moving on. Now, but Giuliani is not taking this sitting down. Is he standing up? He says it's an act of intimidation. $1.3 billion. I don't even think Rudy's worth $1.3 billion. Does anyone know Rudy Giuliani's net worth? Anyway, Dominion, whose employees donate almost exclusively to Democratic Party candidates, shocker, had threatened the suit against Giuliani and even quoted Adolf Hitler in their public statement on the matter. Quote, just as Giuliani and his allies intended, the big lie went viral on social media as people tweeted, retweeted, and raged that Dominion had stolen their votes. While some lies, little lies, flare up on social media and die with the next news cycle, the big lie was different. Lawyers for Dominion wrote in a lawsuit filed in D.C. District Court on Monday morning. The harm to Dominion's business and reputation is unprecedented and irreparable because of how fervently millions of people believe it. You know how they could fix that, though? You know, I think just a little bit of a technical forensic audit of the machines and the voting, because I know they had problems in the one that they did do a test on. But, you know. Anyway, so Giuliani's fighting back. All right, let's keep going because I only got a few minutes left. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this one, I'm not even going to read it, but it'll be in the tabs. But you can, if you're looking at the screen, you can see what the title is. And you can read that for yourself. Another story from American Greatness. Look, I'm going to make it clear. At least the lawsuits are not all finished. And it'll be interesting to see what happens because some of these lawsuits were deliberately set till after inauguration by the courts, but whatever. Let's see where they go. And I got a feeling at some point, because just like with the 2000 election, how independent groups went and checked Florida's results, and you can do that this election. And I'm sure that there are some groups out there already in the queue waiting to check the election results. Zimjoa. I'm going to just say it that way and say hello. Nice to see you back. I haven't seen you for a while. So anyway, if you're interested, again, this article on the screen, you can read that one too. It'll be in the tabs. Someone said Run, Hide, Fight is a really good movie. Speaking of which, of lawsuits, the Supreme Court has thrown out lawsuits accusing Trump of taking foreign bribes. Some people are trying to get him for the emoluments clause. Anyway, the Supreme Court tossed 2 lawsuits accusing former President Donald Trump of violating the emoluments clause of the Constitution on Monday, ending a roughly 4-year legal battle over the former president's businesses. Zimgoa. Okay, thank you. Good Zimgoa. I'll try to remember how to say that. I always messed up with who's it? Effin Mechi, but I finally gotten to the point where I say it correctly. So Zimgoa, thank you. Yeah, this has been going on. They've been trying to, especially Nancy Pelosi, bring up the emoluments clause over and over again over the 4 years. One of the lawsuits was filed by a watchdog group, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics, also known as CREW, the day after Trump was inaugurated in 2017. The attorneys generals of District of Columbia and Maryland brought a similar lawsuit in June of that year, according to Politico. The lawsuit claimed that Trump was violating the emoluments clause prohibition against foreign bribes, which prohibited elected office holders from receiving payments of any kind from foreign agents without the approval of Congress. The plaintiffs argued that anytime a foreign dignitary or official stayed at or patronized a business owned by Trump, such as the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C., that constituted an unapproved payment. All parties involved in both cases said the issue was at the center of the lawsuit is now moot since Trump is out of office. The Supreme Court ruling also negated lower court rulings that the cases could move forward with discovery, according to Bloomberg. So it looks, they were just dismissed because he's not in office anymore. So they just basically kicked the can down the road until now. Anyway, well, there you go. Let's see. I'm running out of time. There's a whole bunch left here. This one. Oh, yeah, this is I just found this funny how it isn't. Jen Psaki said it isn't a fair articulation to say that then candidate Joe Biden called the Trump administration's China travel ban xenophobic. Huh? It was not a fair articulation to say then Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's called the Trump administration's coronavirus travel ban on China xenophobic. Wasn't that his exact words? Okay. Do they have the quote by Biden here? I don't know. We're gonna leave that alone. It's there. You can read it. You can read it yourself. Oh, did you know that Anthony Fauci is the United States government highest paid employee, including the president, even if the president took his salary? Huh. In 2019 alone, Dr. Fauci made $417,608, which is even more than the $400,000 salary of the President of the United States. Fauci is therefore both the highest paid doctor and employee of the federal government, which is comprised of nearly 4 million federal employees. Great. Anyway, if you really want to know how that works, it's there. Let's see. We only got a minute left. Of course, we've been laughing about how, Joe Biden's been saying that he wants to ramp up inoculations for the COOF to 100 million vaccinations over the next 100 days. Well, they're trying to explain that away. President Joe Biden's White House acknowledged confusion over the amount of coronavirus vaccines the nation has available and blamed the disarray on former President Donald Trump's administration on Monday. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki made the comments in response to questions from the media during a Monday press conference. Newly minted CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky said on Sunday the Biden administration was struggling to determine just how much COVID-19 vaccine it had on hand. The confusion around this issue, which we acknowledge there is some confusion, speaks to a larger problem, which is what we're inheriting from the prior administration. You're inheriting 1 billion vaccinations a day. And she says, which is much worse than we could have imagined, Psaki said. Yeah, and also you said that the vaccinations has been an unmitigated failure. And then you, well, never mind. And then you said, well, we didn't know they were already doing 1 million a day. And I'm going to skip this one, but this is also a good article on how a couple networks, how they say that these networks don't work in lockstep, but you can always tell when the Democratic talking points are sent to them because they tend to ask the same questions. So remember, we showed the video where Chuck Todd was, or when they were talking to, who were they talking to? He was talking to a Republican senator, and it was Rand Paul. And he was interviewing Rand Paul, and he was pushing Rand Paul on something, and was saying, well, no, you can't say that because this, and this. And Rand Paul's like, not in so many words, but the fuck I can't. And then he got on another show, and they were asking the exact same questions. So, anyway, this one I think regarding the minimum wage. But anyway, you can read this one yourself. I'm going to skip it. Stop using Google on your phone and on your search engine. I use DuckDuckGo just because Google's just trying to manipulate you into things that you don't want. And plus, it's interesting because if you ever do a search of any even slightly controversial topic, and you do the search on Google, and then you do the search on DuckDuckGo or Bing or any other search engine, Yahoo, for some reason, the other three have similar results based on number of searches and whatnot, where Google's always seems to be a curated search. You always get always the mainstream media ones for pages and pages before you get to anything. Or even if you search for something like certain YouTubers, like even like Sticks, if you do Sticks Hacks and Hammer 666 or something, or go find one of his videos, type in the exact title of the video and put it into a Google search. He won't even come up on the first page on most stories out of story, where if you put it in DuckDuckGo, if you put the exact title of his stream or his video up, you'll probably get that in the top 10 results. So it's fascinating. Avoid Google. Avoid Google. Unless I need a list, I use DuckDuckGo. Yeah, I do too. Anyway, there's a good. But here's some reasons why you might want to stop using Google. And then finally, the other articles I'm just gonna have to stop. But there's a list on people who've been blacklisted. So for example, this baby blogger. So there's quite a baby blogging community out there apparently, and this woman with over 1 million followers on her baby advice blog, apparently she made the mistake of her and her husband making donations to the Donald Trump campaign, so now they want to cancel her. A neonatal nurse named Cara Dumoplin, who for years has run a very successful website called Taking Care of Babies, is now considered a racist and a hater. Oh, yay!
That's racist!
because she and her husband committed the unforgivable act of donating to the campaign of Donald Trump. Mama Bird Los Angeles drew attention to Dumoplin's political donations on Instagram. So they actually took the time to look at the baby bloggers' political donations, setting off a flurry of denunciations. Mama Bird identified herself as part of the baby people who are actively using our platforms to speak out about hate and give you the information you need, not only raise your babies, but to raise them anti-racist. Aww, Mama Bird, aren't you so special? So go ahead and cancel somebody else. So with that, I recommend y'all consider unfollowing and stop giving your support and money to @TakingCara Babies. Cara, C-A-R-A, isn't that clever? Who, along with her husband, have been actively donated to Trump and his campaign. We need to out these people, especially because they are profiting off of photos of BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color families. Mama Bird added, I encourage you to share this far and wide. So basically, she got this woman canceled for out of the baby blogging community. Oh, good. Kind of like that Karen, what's her face, who got knocked out of the knitting community because she had questions about shit. Anyway, there's also talking about how they're blacklisting Laura Loomer, which we probably know. She's basically been taken off all social media. In fact, Capital One Bank tried to can't close her accounts and tell her that she couldn't bank there because she's Laura Loomer. Mostly that because of that Nancy Pelosi stunt a while back, but still. When she ran for Congress, Comcast would not allow her to use their email system to email out to her potential constituents. All kinds of bull crap like that. Other articles in the links today. We're going to finish with this one. Maybe. Nah, we won't. We got to get going. Just another, if you want another example of the, what's the word? Stupidity of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on guns. There's an article here in the American Thinker. Also got, Joe Biden ordering transgender individuals being able to serve in the military. Which is interesting because pre-op transgender people have been able to get their surgery. Well, before Trump banned it, were getting surgeries through the military. I struggle with it. The problem here is people on hormones need hormones, and if you're in the field, if it's in a war, and you have an issue getting hormones in through the supply lines, that can be a problem. And I have an issue with maybe using the military to get certain operations, whether it's that or other operations that, if that's your only, I don't know, if you serve, do you get operations free, whatever. There are just too many issues that, with people who are, and I don't have a problem with transgender people, but that, I'm wondering if that's a great idea. Anyway, moving on. You can read that article too. Arizona, marijuana is legal now, and apparently they got it approved, and then they approved license for facilities in a record time of any state. So anyway, they weren't banned, just prohibited from getting their treatment on the government dime and convalescing while serving. Oh, I did not know that. So, but anyway, Joe Biden has apparently rescinded that particular rule. Arizona, just an article about how fast they got sellers up and running once they legalized recreational marijuana. Kind of a cute, funny story there. And then a couple coronavirus articles. One on the left's anti-science closure of schools are killing more students than the virus. For example, in Las Vegas, apparently there's been a lot of people offing themselves, finishing themselves, and far more than they probably would have ever had who would have passed from the COOF. Very interesting story, very sad story, and our government needs to get their shit together. And apparently, finally, in some of these states where in some of these certain states like California, New York, Michigan, all of a sudden they're opening things up now that the inauguration is over. But the Chicago Teachers Union is still voting not to return to schools. And even though that the governor has asked them to return. So they, it's a fight between the unions. In fact, wasn't one of the teachers union people caught? I think they were like in Europe or somewhere, in the south of Spain vacationing while they were talking about these votes. Because now it's funny, you can, in some ways, if you have the right internet connection or Wi-Fi connection or phone service, you can do your business from wherever, and people don't really know. Well, they figured out that one of these Chicago Teachers Union person was doing all their negotiations, all their Zoom calls from some exotic location while they were on vacation. But oh no, they can't go back to schools, but they can go on vacation. All right. Anyway, and also just a couple articles on Biden adding critical race theory back into some curriculums. Not good. And then the last two, I don't know what that one was. Oh, and this is the video I want to finish you. So when we were in Colorado, and I'm going to finish with this. Now I couldn't ski because I have a knee injury, and Lady Boomer doesn't ski. But my son and his girlfriend, I'll just call her his girlfriend for now. There may be some future plans that coming up, but I don't know. And her sister and her fiance, the sister's fiance, they were skiing, right? And I was like, God, I wish I could be skiing. I love to ski. I love doing that stuff, but my knee injury doesn't allow me to do it. And I got to tell you, after seeing this video, and this is what we're going to finish with, I possibly could have some second thoughts about going skiing. So let's see, where did this happen? Let me figure out where this happened. Let's see. Resort Mountain. This is in Romania. The Romania Chippendale Ski Resort. The Romania Chippendale Ski Resort. This might, if you're a skier, this video might have you have second thoughts about going skiing. Here's the video. I'm going to play it right now. Now, you see the skier here? See this thing right here? Right there, right behind the skier there? That would be a Romanian grizzly bear. This seems to be a young one. It's not very big, but it's a bear chasing the skier down the hill. And apparently the people on the ski lifts are yelling at this guy, go faster. There's something behind you. They didn't want to tell him what's behind him, but this bear is chasing this dude down the hill. I don't know if there's bears near the ski resort in Breckenridge. I know there's probably a lot of food and stuff, but I had to think twice about that. I'm just saying. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today on the Morning Night Live. I hope you enjoyed being here today. Seemed kind of light crew. Is there something else going on? Did Crowder come back on or something? This is a Crowder Tuesday. By the way, if you are a Crowder person, if you watch Steven Crowder, he did put a video out yesterday explaining where he's been. They often take a month, up to a month off this time of year. But he also has a couple other explanations why he's been off. He hasn't had a show for a while. Apparently he's going to come back sometime in February. But he had some issues. One, he's got a lawsuit they're working on, and he's got some heart problems and a couple other things. So check out his video. Also, thank you for the support. I really appreciate you guys coming by each day. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button before you push any other buttons to go. And if you would be kind enough to share the video. Did I drop the Ace of Spades link? No, I didn't. If you'd be kind enough to drop a like and share the show with people. And then also donations can be done through Streamlabs YouTube Super Chat, Venmo, and Cashapp. All that information is in the description down below. But just thanks for being here and hanging out in the chat. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. And I don't know the GMT thing anymore. But thanks again. It's time for me to go. My name is PDawgKnight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.